Hello students, welcome to Sir Educate's channel. Today in this lecture I am going to explain the detailed solution of 2020 KSET biology paper. So this is the first episode and there will be total 6 episodes, and in each episode I am going to explain 10 questions. You just do watch my channel, and if you are not yet subscribed, please do subscribe and press the bell icon for latest and more notifications. Now let us start this class. If you take the first question, and one more thing, I am going to follow B2 pattern of KSET 2020 biology paper. If you take the first question, when Escherichia coli cells are cultured in a medium where lactose is absent, the I gene of lac operon continues to produce a repressor mRNA because it is. So there are 4 options. The first option is an operator gene, second option is a constitutive gene, third option is a structural gene, and the fourth option is the non-coding gene. The lac operon, it generally consists of 2 types of gene. For example, if you take this one is a lac operon. So here is a promoter gene. This promoter gene, it generally helps in the transcription of only inhibitor gene. So this promoter is the promoter for only inhibitor, not to the entire operon. Okay. Now actually the operon, it starts from the inhibitor gene. This inhibitor gene after transcription gives rise to a repressor mRNA. This repressor mRNA after translation gives rise to a repressor protein. This repressor protein in the absence of lactose binds to the operator gene, then operon is switched off. So you have to remember here operator gene do not play any role in the synthesis of repressor protein. So if you take the first option, this operator gene, which is generally overlapped with the promoter, it just control the promoter, it will not help in the synthesis of repressor protein. So eliminate option 1. If you take the second option, this I will explain later. If you take the structural gene, there are 3 structural genes, as I said, LAC-Z, LAC-Y and LAC-A. They do not responsible for the synthesis of the regulator gene. So eliminate option C. If you take the fourth option, option D, a non-coding gene do not synthesize any enzyme. So eliminate option D. So which option is left? The option that is left is the option B. So that is the right answer. Now let me explain what is this constitutive gene. Here generally the genes are classified into 4 types based on its method of regulation. One is constitutive gene, second one is facultative gene, third one is inducible gene, and fourth one is housekeeping gene. First of all, a constitutive gene is one which is generally transcribed continuously irrespective of any environmental condition and irrespective of any situations. That means in lac operon, I gene or the regulator gene, it is categorized as a constitutive gene. Why? Because it go on producing repressor protein even in the absence of lactose also. So this is what constitutive gene. And if you take the second type, the facultative gene, this facultative gene, it transcribe whenever it is needed for the organism. Okay. Now if you take the third gene, that is inducible gene, the genes which express in response to either the environmental condition or in response to the any changes that depends upon the position in the cell cycle. Right, this is about the inducible gene. And next if you take the final one is the housekeeping gene. These genes which are required to maintain the basic cellular functions of an organism, especially like expression of various body functions in the organisms. So that is what's said to be housekeeping genes. Now let us take the second question. So here for a given sequence of DNA, identify the complementary sequence of bases on its mRNA from the options given below. So you have to search the complementary sequence on mRNA. So the sequence of DNA that has given in this question is like ATGC, ATGC, ATGC. So remember, if on mRNA we have to search for the sequence, there must be uracil. In the 2 answers and in the 2 options there is no uracil. So those options are option 1 and option 3, that is option A and option C. So just eliminate. Now we have to search only in two options. The right answer is option D. You can see for adenine, the complementary sequence is uracil. For thymine, the complementary sequence is adenine. For guanine, the complementary sequence is again cytosine. And for cytosine, the complementary sequence is guanine. That is UACG, UACG, UACG. And there must be direction you have to remember. If the DNA has 3 prime, in the question, if the DNA has 3 prime 5 prime polarity, the mRNA must have opposite polarity. That means it must have 5 prime towards this side and 3 prime towards that side. So answer is option D is the right answer. Now let us take question number 3. So here, which among the following was the biggest land dinosaur? Remember, this is the question based on your knowledge. That's it. If you have knowledge, you can answer. So this is a very direct question. So answer for this question is option 1. Option A is the right answer. That is Tyrannosaurus rex. Whereas remaining option B, option C and option D are the wrong answer. You just eliminate that. Now let us take question number 4. So here in this question, in a population of plants, some were extremely tall and the remaining were extremely dwarf. No plant of the population showed intermediate height. The type of the operation of natural selection in the above case is, so there are 4 options. Option A directional, option B stabilizing, option C disruptive and option D balancing. So first of all, if you observe this curve here in this curve, at the right and left side, I just differentiated that in 2 different colors. Those are the 2 extremes. Those 2 extremes represent the very tall and very dwarf plant. Whereas in the middle portion of the curve, this is the population distribution curve actually. The middle portion, which is represented in white color, that middle portion is more individuals that acquire the mean value, mean character, that means which are in intermediate height. If the natural selection operates in a way that is not supporting the individuals that are in the medium height, now what happens? The curve disrupts. That means that medium sized individuals population decreases, and at the same time as the environment or nature support the 2 extremes, that means to the very tall and to the very dwarf triad, now their population gradually increases and the curve look like this. And finally what happens, the population or the individuals with medium height will be completely eliminated from that area and only individuals with the tall and very dwarf character will be there. So this is what called as the disruptive selection. Why? Because the curve shape has become disrupted, and this is the natural selection that is mainly helpful for the formation of 2 different species from 1 species. So for this question, the direct answer, you can directly write the answer, the disruptive selection is the right answer. Now let us take question number 5. So here in this question, injection of an antidote against snake bite is an example of, there are 4 options. Option A active immunity, option B passive immunity, option C autoimmunity and option D innate immunity. Now let us discuss what is this antidote. Remember, antidote is the performed antibodies which has prepared antibodies. Now let us study these options one by one. First of all, if we take an active immunity, what is active immunity? Here an individual actively producing antibodies against to the antigen. That antigen may enter naturally into body or that may be artificially introduced. If we take option B, what is passive immunity? Here in passive immunity, antibodies are transferred to a non-immune person, that may be naturally or artificially. So as I said, antidote is a performed antibody that is transferred to a non-immune person, like a person who is suffering from the snake bite. So you eliminate option A. Here in that situation, the individual, we cannot wait for the individual to produce antibody. If we wait, the individual will die. So eliminate first option. Second option is the right option for this question. Now let us have a look on other 2 options also. What is autoimmunity? It is an abnormal immune response against the self cells. That means our antibody kill our own cells. That is what called as autoimmunity. And next, what is innate immunity? The immunity which is present by birth, that is generally non-specific, that is said to be an innate immunity. So I think you understand this question. Now let us take question number 6. The question number 6 is, certain tumors are called as malignant tumors because they invade and damage the surrounding tissue. They shows contact inhibition is of option B, and option C is they are not neoplastic, and option D is they are confined to specific location. So remember students, tumors, they are generally classified into two types. One is malignant tumor and other one is the benign tumor. Here the benign tumors, they are generally non-cancerous. So they are just remain confined to their specific location. Means if, for example, if a tumor is formed in the hand, that tumor will not spread to the other body. And these benign tumors, they are non-cancerous. That means they are not neoplastic. Neoplastic means cancerous. Non-neoplastic means not cancerous. Now in option A and B, which is the right option? The right option is option A. Why? Because here the contact inhibition is generally the property of normal cells. What is contact inhibition? The normal cells, which are generally surrounded by other normal cells, the growth and replication of a normal cell is controlled by the contact of that normal cells by its neighboring cells. That is what called inhibiting the growth and reproduction or replication of that cell by neighboring cell through its contact. That is what called as contact inhibition. There is a property of normal cell, but cancerous cells do not have that property. So eliminate option B. And why option A is the right answer? Here this invading and damaging the surrounding tissue, this property is actually the metastasis. What is metastasis? The cancerous tumor, they generally, when the cells separate or slough off, they reaches to some other location in the body. There in that new location they originate one more tumor. That is what called metastasis. And why they invade? What is meant by invading? Invading is nothing but by the growth of that tumor that damage the surrounding normal cells, that make those normal cells to starve. That is what called as invading. So hence option 1 is the right answer. Now let us take question number 7. So the question number 7 is, the transport of which neurotransmitter is interfered by cocaine? This is the direct question and your knowledge based question, and answer for this question is dopamine. So dopamine is the right answer. So here this dopamine acts as a neurotransmitter. Now first let me explain, there are so many interesting facts are there related to the dopamine. The dopamine, it is generally synthesized from tyrosine amino acid, and this dopamine, it acts as hormone and as well as neurotransmitter. And dopamine, what is the main function? So this dopamine helps in our motivation, and they are responsible for our heart rate and as well as for our kidney function. So these are some of the characteristic features of dopamine. Then what about the other three options? The serotonin, GABA, acetylcholine. Remember, the remaining three are also the neurotransmitters. First of all, if you take the serotonin, as I said, it acts as a neurotransmitter, and this is mainly made up of tryptophan amino acid, and this one is the precursor of melatonin hormone. That means it helps in the synthesis of melatonin hormone. So indirectly or you can directly, it helps in the maintenance of 24 hours biological clock, that is as well as in the sleep wake cycle, right? And as well as this serotonin is primarily present in our stomach, that is in the alimentary canal, and that regulate our bowel movement, and as well as it is found in the intestine. And as well as the serotonin, it is a powerful vasoconstrictor, in the blood. For example, if there is a damage into our arteries, inside that arteries, the platelets releases this serotonin. This serotonin causes the constriction of the blood vessel that make the artery to become more narrow, and that prevent the more blood loss. Whereas this serotonin is also one of the important hormone which regulate our anxiety, happiness, mood, and it also has several sexual functions. For example, if you take, if serotonin levels are low, that low level of serotonin increases our sex libido, whereas if the serotonin hormones serotonin neurotransmitter is at high level, that decreases our libido. So this is about serotonin. Next, option B, GABA.